I moved to New York in the autumn of 1992 when I was 23. I understood about myself that whatever it was I ended up doing with my life, it would be something creative. And New York seemed like a good place to be a creative. Although I can't say that I moved to the city with a plan for being a working artist, when I closed my eyes and envisioned my new life, I saw myself living in a loft apartment making paintings or developing performance art pieces. This did not come to pass. I lived in several different apartments during my New York years, none of them a loft with big windows. I did go to a party once in a downtown loft apartment that looked strikingly like the one of my imagination. I can't remember who lived in this apartment or what this person did for a living. I did things for a living like answer telephones, stuff envelopes, and sort fabric swatches until I got a real job at a private elementary school. In those early New York years, the art I made was small in scale. I made weird ink drawings, scratched up Polaroids, artist books, and altered photographs with text panels. I had work in a juried show that was curated by Dwayne Michaels and a group show at an art center in Brooklyn. And then I stopped making art. I've written about this before. The story of what happened to me, my life, my art making, is a deep and convoluted story, but the point is that I stopped. I stopped engaging my creativity through visual work. In many ways, I stopped living. I floated away from myself like an astronaut floating weightless in space, still connected to her spacecraft by a silver cord, but completely disoriented and so far away from gravity. I became a person who lay on her kitchen floor unable to muster the energy to walk 2 blocks to the grocery store. But nothing stays the same. Life is always in motion, and eventually I began to write again. I joined a group called Brooklyn Writers and started to slowly come back to life. I moved to the suburbs and went back to school. While working toward my MFA in fiction writing, I took a printmaking class. I remembered what it felt like to work visually. I wasn't good at pulling prints, but I loved that class. I loved my 2 years in graduate school. There is much about my life that I regret, and many things I would do differently if I had the chance. If I could go back in time, I would save myself from myself. But I cannot. What I can do, however, is remember that amid the wrong turns and poor choices, I did experience moments of beauty in my 20s. I think of the first time I walked into Cafe Reggio, walking past the Chelsea Hotel, sitting in Washington Square Park, shopping in the East Village, the street fairs where I bought $10 dresses. New York City, at least the New York City of the 90s, is a part of me. Still, when I talk about having deep regret, it is usually my 20s I am talking about. I regret the self-hatred that clouded my vision and held me apart from experience. I regret that I did not listen to myself or trust my intuition. I regret that I deferred to the opinions of others, that I allowed others to tell me who I was. I was given a golden opportunity that I squandered, and I will perhaps never feel peaceful about that. I don't think it's necessary that we feel peaceful about every aspect of our lives, by the way. I don't think the goal of life is to have a neutral emotion or exclusively positive emotions. Life is messy and as painful as it is beautiful. So when I say that creating this painting was healing for me, I don't mean that it wiped me clean of all wounds or entanglements. It was a journey into memory. It was soul retrieval. The High Priestess is a departure. It's a much larger than the canvases I have been painting on, and thematically, it's a change. It's deeply autobiographical. It's different. It's a reclaiming. It called me back into the territory of my former art-making life. I picked up a thread I dropped a long time ago. Perhaps I stepped back into the skin of the undergraduate who loved the art building at night when no one else was there, who felt a passion for making art because to make art was to tell the truth. The healing process that I experienced in creating this painting was healing in the true sense of the word. It was a wholeness of calling back lost parts of myself, of integrating stray pieces of my story back into my heart. It was difficult to approach. I had to push through it, fight the urge to gesso over the entire canvas, and fall back asleep to it. I had to allow this painting to be and allow it to pull me forward. It did pull me forward through some sort of energy gateway. I don't know what, if anything, it will mean to its viewers. Maybe something completely different, maybe nothing. It is. It exists. And so do I.